Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Apogee Live. My name is Rob, and I'm joined here by Carl. Carl is an esteemed member of our technical support team. Carl, how long have you been with Apogee?
5 years now.
5 years. So a seasoned veteran of the team over here.
I've experienced a few things, yeah.
So we are in Apogee's tech support room here, and so we are at headquarters here in Santa Monica, and we're going to talk a little bit about the most commonly asked tech support questions. So maybe some commonly asked questions to save you guys some time out there and get set up a little bit quicker. Just some of the things that people ask us to kind of get going, and we've got Carl to kind of explain some of that. So first thing, I'll tell you a little bit about the way we handle support. We've got this chat system. Tell us a little bit about the chat system.
So chat was something we introduced a couple years ago, something we found that really allowed us to kind of make everything more efficient for both us and then as you guys as well. We really like being able to do screen sharing with customers. Makes it really easy for someone that's maybe having kind of a strange issue, or someone that's new to recording. You know, a DAW can be really overwhelming, and so being able to kind of be in the same room almost with you guys really is something that we find beneficial. Sending screenshots back and forth is another thing, and then being able to have contact with us immediately without having to wait on hold or anything like that is something that is just hugely valuable to us.
Yeah, and anyone who's ever gone through any sort of tech support where you're sitting there and they've got you will be taken care of in 15 minutes. At Apogee, we really try hard to you guys are getting to people within 30 seconds.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's huge. I mean, people have sessions on the line or clients going on, and it's really awesome to be able to help them right away.
So what are the support hours? When is chat open?
So we're open 7 a.m. West Coast time, so Pacific Standard, all the way to 6:30 p.m. So we're able to help those of you overseas, and then people on the East Coast as well. We kind of have stretched ourselves to be able to stay open as long as we can.
Yeah, so in the morning Pacific time would be in the afternoon in Europe, so we can help our customers in Europe. And when we stay until the evening, that's the morning in a lot of Asia. Mm-hmm. So we really do try to kind of be flexible with the time that we're available for you. And then when we're not available on the live chat, what's that look like? What's the support process look like if it's late at night or something like that and somebody needs to ask a question?
Sure. So when chat isn't available, if you go to www.apogeedigital.com/support, we have a knowledge base, which is updated all the time with FAQs, how-tos, lots of useful information there. And then you can also open a support ticket, and that starts an email conversation with us, and we're very quick to be able to answer those emails right away as well. So if you don't catch us during our live chat hours, that's going to be the best option, is either the knowledge base or opening a ticket there.
They can catch you outside.
They can catch us outside.
How about that? All right. And so let's get into some of these questions. So why can't I hear my input? So this is you're saying that a lot of people ask this question, why can't I hear my microphone? Why can't I hear my guitar? Explain to us what's the simple solution for that.
Sure. So obviously there's a lot of variables that could go into something like this, but the most commonly seen one is that our Apogee products are default to software monitoring. And so what that means is you need to have your recording software open to route the incoming signal that you're putting into your device out to the headphones or to the speakers. So that's really the most common issue, is if you don't have the recording software open, or if you don't have input monitoring enabled in your DAW. Another solution to that, let's say you wanted to jam along to iTunes or something like that. When you're not using a DAW, you would open up the Maestro mixer, or if you're using Elements or Symphony Audio Mark II, you would open the control software for that, and then do the low latency monitoring through the Apogee software, basically, and that would bypass that issue.
And so, the thing is, most of our interfaces have such low latency that software monitoring really is the way to go. Yeah. So, just make sure you have your input routed properly in your software, and just turn on input monitoring. And then if for some reason the latency is too high for your taste, or you got a really big session, you got to crank the buffer, you can use the low latency mixer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So software monitoring is kind of the new way to do things. So.
I think so, and I think it's a lot more simple to work that way, and it just adds a lot of benefit in working with that way rather than having another layer of software.
Definitely. All right, so the next most popular question is, why is my input distorting?
Right.
Turn it down.
Yeah. And Rob's really right when it comes to that. Often is the case where someone might not be familiar with your input level, your recording level going into your software or into your interface, and then your volume. Those are two very different things. And so you want to set your input level visually. You want to make sure that it's not overloading the meter and that you're getting healthy signal without clipping or distorting anything. And then your output volume is controlled separately. And that really is how much level you want to hear and has nothing to do with your recording level at all. So often is the case where someone is setting up their device maybe for the first time or isn't looking at their input meters and they have it cranked and then it will distort the preamps and converters.
Yeah, so we've got that Apogee soft limit there that helps a little bit, but if you're smashing it all the way, it's not going to do you much good. But so, it's what I always visualize when you think about gain staging is there's kind of three knobs. If you think about it, there's the mic pre, then there's your software monitoring, and then you have your output. Right. So there's kind of three stages that you have to kind of make sure that they're all playing well together.
Yeah, it's a good habit to check all of those and make sure you're not overloading anywhere, you're not boosting anything unnecessarily. But that's the main way of keeping track of that is checking your input level versus what your outputs are doing.
Yeah. Now, we've got some customer questions here. So the first one is do the Apogee Thunderbolt interfaces work on PC? This is from Gary. And so, Gary, you may know that Apogee specializes in making audio interfaces for the Mac and iOS. And we kind of pride ourselves on that super deep integration. And so all of our Thunderbolt devices are Mac specific because they play really, really well with that Apple Core audio. And that comes up in support stuff too. That it makes it a lot easier for you guys to really handle customers' issues due to that kind of integration.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, aside from the benefit of some of the touch bar stuff that we're able to incorporate, the Logic X integration as well with being able to control your inputs, it just is, in my opinion, a more focused environment. And it makes it a dream to support. Really, it makes it really nice.
It's a really nice integration. So if you don't have a Mac, highly recommend you stop by your local Apple store and pick one up. It's pretty awesome stuff. But we've got another guy here, Alex. He said output sounds great through his speakers, but when he turns up the volume on the MacBook Pro, he's getting some crackling sounds. So it sounds like, Alex, if you head over to apogeedigital.com, Carl's busy at the moment, but we've got a few other guys in support standing by, and they will walk you through that issue and get you up and running. So we've got some of our other guys that will help you through that issue and try to get you back up and running. So let's move on to, this is probably the number one question that is asked amongst support tickets is,
Absolutely.
Are you a robot?
In fact, I am not a robot. Just want to clear the air. And I'm proud to not be a robot. And I think I can speak for everyone back here. One of the things that I think is really cool about Apogee and being able to support products is we're all in the headquarters here. It's not some off-site, company. It's not some, other group of people that have been briefed on Apogee products and then are tasked with supporting it. We were all Apogee fans before we worked here. All of us have either been an engineer at some point or are currently still an engineer. And so it really, I think, changes the level of service that we're able to provide. And, it makes it easier to talk to you guys as well, engineer to engineer and kind of have that intuition of what might be going on with your system if you have a problem.
But after hours.
Rob is a robot. I do not speak for Rob.
We do the robot. After 7 p.m. Pacific time, that's when the robots come out in Apogee headquarters. But from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Human only.
Humans only. But yeah, that's really cool. And I think that another thing that makes Apogee unique is the fact that we do offer free technical support. There's a lot of companies out there that do charge for this type of service. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're able to offer that to our customers in a split second is something that's unique. So
that's huge, yeah.
We want to make sure that you guys are up and running with your Apogee gear as much as possible. It's kind of an interesting question. So we've got this really cool product called the One for iPad and Mac. You've got it there. Beautiful, beautiful aluminum enclosure, great sounding mic pre's. So one thing that a lot of people just have some confusion on is they say, why can't I hear my guitar signal on one? And so what's the trick to that?
So the trick to this is it's called one, but it actually has two input channels. And so your first input channel is always going to be your mic selection, whether that is the built-in mic on the device or a connected microphone through the breakout cable. So one is very popular with guitarists as well because of the high-quality guitar input, and that's actually on channel 2. And so what will happen is they will see the name 1, they will plug in their guitar, they are trying to record their guitar, and then they open their DAW on channel 1 and they don't see any signal. And so the solution for that is to just select input 2, there's where your guitar signal lives, and then you're off to the races.
So the 1 is really 2.
It's really 2.
It's more than 1.
It's much more than 1.
So don't let the name deceive you. But that's a good tip there. And I think the cool thing about 1 is like you can plug in a guitar, rock out, plug in a microphone, sing along, you can sing and play guitar at the same time.
Yeah, being able to do both is great.
It's great for songwriters, anybody trying to get ideas down, that sort of thing. Another question that we get often, so Maestro is our control software for our USB devices run on Maestro. And people always ask, do I need to have Maestro open when I'm running my session?
So no, absolutely not. It's there when you need it, and if you do, and it can be closed or off in the background if you don't. And so I always like to use the analogy. It's like the remote control for your Duet or whatever your device is. And so you can open it, you can make your changes, and then close it. And then that way your workflow is much more simple. Going back to the software monitoring kind of workflow and thing that we're going for with our products. It makes it really nice and kind of a single workstation that you have to worry about.
Yeah, it definitely simplifies the workflow and makes it easier all around. And with the devices like Duet and One that have the hardware control, you can get to a lot of that from the piece of hardware, or if you're more of a software control person, flip over.
Absolutely.
A big tip that I like is on the Mac, Command Tab. That's like, you know about the Command Tab switching?
Flipping between the apps.
Yeah, so you can, if you need to get between your DAW and your control software, if you hit Command Tab, you can really easily switch between windows really quickly. It's just a nice quick tip. So you're in the middle of a session, Command Tab, that takes half a second, switch into your control app, Command Tab again, you're back into your DAW, and it speeds things up quite a bit.
Very important if you're watching those input meters like we were mentioning before. You want to make sure that if you're recording drums or something like that and you have a lot of channels to take care of, you can open that input tab with Maestro, see everything, make sure everything's in the yellow and nothing's in the red, and then back to recording.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Carl, thank you for joining us on the show and giving us your insights. So if anybody wants to talk to Carl, he's available on the live chat. So just make sure to ask for Carl.
In the flesh.
In the flesh.
No robots.
But again, if you guys have any sort of questions, you can visit apogeedigital.com and click on the Ask an Apogee Expert button. You can click on the Chat Live button in the bottom right-hand corner, and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. So until next time, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.